Hi, my name is Mariusz Grabowski, and I have this opportunity to present the research outcomes of our project entitled Change of Students' Online Behavioral Patterns During the COVID-19 Pandemic, Insights from Poland. I have created this research together with my two colleagues, Grażyna PALIWODA-PŁKOSZ and Dariusz DYMEK. We are all from Krakow University of Economics, Krakow, Poland. Let me introduce our research agenda. First, I will come with introduction, in which I cover the topics of motivation, research questions, research methods. Then I characterize the respondents and analyze some three elements, such as well-being changes, online activity changes, and social activity changes. Finally, I will wrap it up with implication and future research. Our research was motivated by three factors. First, that the COVID-19 pandemic made tremendous changes in the way that the economy and the society function today. This also impacted the education as one of the sectors, and especially behavioral patterns of young people. And this constitutes also the research gap of our study, because most of researchers up to date focus only on educational aspects of remote learning, whereas we are also concentrating on the social ones. The motivation helps us to formulate our research questions, which is the following. Have the students' online behavioral patterns changed as a result of the pandemic, and how? We also prepared the research method, and this is a questionnaire analysis. And this was an online survey with closed and open-ended questions. It was addressed to all students. I mean bachelor, masters, and PhD students at our university, Krakow University of Economics. The questionnaire was open from 18th of May until 13th of June 2021. We tried to gather the information on IT skills as well as technical conditions, experience in traditional and remote educations, changes in well-being, personal behavioral patterns and attitudes toward remote communication and learning. Our research sample was composed of 1,005 answers, which constitutes 7% return rate. It was dominated by female, 64%, almost two-thirds. And as far as form of study is concerned, there was dominated by full-time students, almost three-quarters. And we also divided the sample into three categories according to the experience in a higher education traditional form of studies. And these categories are the following ones: low, which is lack of experience; medium, which is half of year of experience; and high, which is at least 1.5 years of experience. And this last category was dominating. The other respondents' characteristics, like general IT skills, were dominated by average and higher than average. It was almost 90%. And as far as technical condition is concerned, the sample was dominated by people that have occasional problems and do not have any problems, which was also more than 80%. In case of well-being changes in relation to gender, women are characterized by the higher degree of deterioration and severe deterioration. Men indicate unchanged behavior with this respect. There are no differences between men and women as far as improvement and considerable improvement of well-being is concerned. When considering well-being changes in relation to the experience in higher education traditional form of studies, we can observe that all groups, that means low, medium and high ETFS, form the biggest group of respondents that is characterized by the highest deterioration. Contrary, the lowest group of respondents indicated considerable improvement. Looking at the number of hours spent online, we see the close to linear lowering tendency in case of behavior before pandemic and growing one during the pandemic. We have noted interesting regularity when considering the number of hours spent online that are related to study. The number of hours spent before the pandemic is approximated by descending exponential curve, whereas number of hours spent during pandemic is approximated by symmetric curve similar to Gaussian distribution. The most representative category of respondents in case of the number of contacts online before and during pandemic was between 6 and 15 persons. The groups of higher number of persons approximate descending exponential curve. As far as the number of persons in face-to-face contact is concerned, the most dominating category is composed of the respondents that have indicated less than 6 contacts during the pandemic. The very interesting is fact that this number is significantly higher than the number of contacts before the pandemic. The tendency portrayed by all other categories is descending. Now we would like to give some comments on attitudes towards communication online. The most representative category is here the neutral stance. The distribution of attitudes towards communication online across other categories form a close to symmetric curve, similar to the normal distribution. Similarly, the same tendency can be observed in case of attitudes towards distance learning, and respondents indicate preferring stance during the pandemic as the most representative category. On the other hand, when considering attitudes before the pandemic, the most representative attitude is qualified to the neutral category. Putting together changes in well-being versus changes in attitude towards online communication and distance learning, it should be noted that there are significant groups that reported negative changes in their attitudes towards online communications and distance learning. These categories are marked with red on the presented table. Contrary, significant groups marked with green color exist that have reported positive relationships to the mentioned variables. As far as the changes in attitude towards distance learning is concerned, the respondents that did not indicate any change most frequently indicated also positive changes in well-being. We also can see that the most representative category for changes in attitude towards online communication is one that indicated no changes in both variables, that is, changes in attitudes towards online communications and changes in well-being. These categories are marked with yellow color. Coming to the conclusion of this presentation, we would like to state the following. First of all, we have identified a significant group of respondents reporting the negative changes in their well-being and simultaneously negative changes in their attitudes. This may lead to the next conclusion that distance learning can be treated as a temporary solution during the pandemic, but because of its negative aspects, it cannot be treated as a permanent solution in post-pandemic times. And contrary, we also identified the group reporting positive changes in attitudes towards online communication and remote learning, and this can be treated as a premise for existence of hybrid solution in higher education in post-pandemic time. And also we would like to draw some our future research path, and we identified that it might be interesting to write to conduct research on how will attitudes and behavioral patterns change in the post-pandemic times. We are open to any questions or comments. Please put it in the respective box below this presentation.